Hello, I'm David Safir. I am the author of Winning the Cash Flow Game Mindset Hacks, and I'm a fractional CFO who focuses in on cash flow optimization. Welcome to my live program. Today I'm going to be telling you about how I worked with a manufacturer who was flat out running at full production, but his sales were down and profits were down even more. But before I tell you about that, I wanted to let you know I'm doing a live webinar on October 27th, and we're going to have a link that you can go and sign up for it. That webinar, I'll be talking about the next wave in financial advisory, and there's the link. If you're watching live or on the post production, we will have the link right there, show notes and the comments. And so you can just click on it and go register. So I'll be talking about the next wave in financial advisory, something that's taking over that clients need and that I've learned how to offer. And anyhow, it's going to be a great great live webinar. But let's get to the topic for today. What do you do with a manufacturer who is maxed out on their production, literally running 24/7, no room to put a new machine? The machines cost a lot of money, and it takes a lot of skill to really run it. So I came in. The big concern was sales were actually declining, and that profits were declining even faster. So we analyzed. Now, you might call this a marketing exercise. You might call it a sales exercise, but what I call it is a cash flow optimization exercise. You're thinking outside the box of what normally you think about when you think about cash flow management. Cash flow management is usually cut costs, collect receivables faster. And yes, those are great things. But bottom line, to really improve profitability, improve sales, is you need to be looking well beyond this really tiny box people call cash flow management. So today, I'm going to expand into three areas. Number one, analyzing the pricing model. Number two is analyzing the distribution model. Number three is analyzing the product mix. Now, I'm going to go backwards with this. First, we analyze the product mix. And what does that mean? The product mix is looking at how much you sell of each product, what you're charging for those products, the margins involved with each of those products. Because when you're manufacturing or you have a service company, either way, you have a certain amount of production that you do, certain amount of service you can provide, certain amount of whatever rolls out of your production line. And so by looking at the product mix and identifying the most profitable products, and I just saw that William Plange is on, and we talked about that. He's somebody who I'm coaching. That was the first thing I talked about with him is what is your most profitable product, and focus in on that. Now, if you're a manufacturer, you can't just do that because if you're offering a line of products, but you can say, are there any products that we should cut that is just not making sense to produce? Now, we're not just talking about pure profitability, sales versus general cost of goods sold. We were also looking at things as how long did it take to switch out the machines for the new parts, etc. But that's one of the things you got to look at is what your most profitable products are and how do you support selling those profitable products. Number two, we looked at the distribution model. Now, in this case, there were three ways to distribute. One was to the traditional channel they had, which was the second one was a distributor model, and the third one was direct sales over the internet. That was a new model. Now, when you looked at that, the most profitable were the internet sales. Second most was the direct to retailers. Third was distribution. What happened over time is it went from retailers to distributors because they put in big orders. And so the thought was, man, there are big clients. We want to make our big clients happy. The direct result of that was switching from a very profitable client base to a less profitable, less revenue, less margin. And then the direct sales model was just starting up, so that was sort of ignored. What we did was we prioritized shipping first to the clients, then to retail, and then what was left over with production to the distributors. Now, that also meant talking to the distributor, explaining, are you able to take partial shipments? And to everybody's surprise, the answer was yes. Ship us what you can send us. And so by doing that simple shift, automatically we got paid more for the products at a very minor incremental cost. So we're talking for an $20 in sales, we maybe had another dollar or $2 in costs. So the additional profitability was enormous. Let's third one. I've got notes over here just so I don't forget. Ah, lastly was the pricing model. So do you ever notice at the movie theater they offer small, medium, and large popcorn, and the difference in volume between the small and the large is enormous, but there's a really small price point difference? Well, making a big batch of popcorn is just a little bit more expensive than making a small batch. So that small batch is artificially way more expensive than it could be if you went on a cost plus model. So what do people do? They say, okay, I'm going to buy the bigger because it's a better value. It is the same thing with so many products. And this particular manufacturer had three sizes. Let's just call it again a small, medium, large. But they were using a cost plus model. And they were losing margin because no, it's not how they were doing it. They were doing it, well, this is the value. To them was a value model sort of, oh, well, if this is twice that one, then the cost has to be half as much. So instead, we said, all right, there was a lot more margin in the large products. And we said, since we were constrained on production, so that's a big part of this, is we said, we're going to raise the price on the small and medium ones. And if people don't want to buy them, it's okay because we can sell more of the large ones. But guess what happened? Yeah, there was a few, it shifted a little bit, but overall, it didn't really matter because the profitability was there. And so those are the three things we did on just the distribution channel alone. And this is a manufacturer, about $2.2 million in sales. There was an incremental $250,000 in revenue, and that meant about $220,000 or so in incremental profit. So when you're thinking about cash flow optimization, think outside the box. It is much broader than a few financial tricks. So that's the show for today. If you've got questions about what I just talked about, let me know in the comments wherever you're watching this, whether it's YouTube or it's on LinkedIn or my Facebook page. Please sign up for my webinar. And if you don't want to attend the webinar but just want good information, I've got a website that you can go to and just click on the sign up form, and it's your name and an email address. And I'll be letting people know when there is more information. I appreciate you being here today, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week at what time do we publish? Oh, yeah, 10 a.m. Eastern Time in the United States. To anybody who, wherever you are in the world, thank you for being here, and I will see you next week.